Hola, konnichiwa, ni hao, and hello. Welcome to the Bcamp podcast, where we give you industry insight with industry leaders. In today's session, we have the Vin Diesel of Three Case. We have the General of Zeed. This amazing man has been the secret whisperer of his data and AI companies. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Shaw. And are you ready to ace the questions that we have for you with your usual magic?
I will do my best, Obakeng. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm happy to be here.
We're glad to have you on. You look amazing, you look handsome, you look fresh, you look like you could be giving us a lot of golden nuggets today. So my first question that I have for you is, what inspired you to get into the field of data and AI? Necessity or a passion come forth?
Out of those two, I would say passion. I've always had a passion for numbers, for data, for the story that data tells, and that sort of manifested itself into my career.
Oh, amazing, amazing. Were you a lover of maths?
I was a lover of math always since early childhood. Not only a lover of it, but there's this intersection that I think people aspire to in life of finding something they're passionate about, which they're also good at, and that's a very ideal intersection. And for me, that math and then data subsequently, right? Being able to really enjoy working with numbers, but also being good at it. Like those two, having those two tailwinds together, I think it really enables success.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And thank you for answering the first question. And this will lead up to the second question that I'm about to ask you because you said it's a passion. And now, since it's a passion, what do clients say they love about your service and where you can improve?
Yeah, great questions. I would say what they love about the service is the level of personalization we provide. We are very relationship oriented. And so, despite the fact that we work with data and technical concepts to help organizations grow, we're very much focused on implementing solutions that are personalized and customized for the specific needs of the clients with whom we're working. So, it's that level of personal service that's probably the thing that really separates us and we get the most feedback about. I think in terms of growth opportunity, I would say maybe it is around broadening the tech stack that we work with, right? We're a pretty small company, and so in order to deliver solutions for a myriad of different sort of organizations across industries globally, we partner with other organizations who have that tech expertise that we may not. Because going back to the first one, we're more focused on delivering an excellent client experience more than implementing a solution that we know how to implement specifically. So if we can find a partner who has the solution for the client, we're happy to bring them on and make sure that the client is getting what they need.
Amazing, amazing. Not just a secret whisperer, but also a high collaborator. Thank you for your answer, Mr. Shaw. And now that we come down to the next question I have for you after what you've just shared, especially building that beautiful relationship with your clients. As a founder, how do you think AI has impacted data science?
Though it's so, I mean, it's impactful across sort of not just data science, but I think every industry, and it's happening. It's so pervasive, and we're at such an early stage of it, right? I think it's yet to be determined what its full impact is going to be. Um, I think at like the ground level, what we're really seeing a lot of is the proliferation of data science type roles coming into different industries versus when I started in my career, the data scientist was typically one PhD who was a statistician, is what we used to say, right? Nowadays, people are walking out of their undergraduate programs, or and they're ready to become data scientists. And I think a lot of that is really enabled by the fact that artificial intelligence applications have become so common and so pervasive, and the demand for AI applications is only going to continue to grow. That's probably where I would see the biggest immediate benefit to the industry is opening up an entirely new section of jobs. Like who knew what a prompt engineer was even 2 years ago, right? And now it's such a common job that companies are looking for. So that's what I would say. It's really opened up the industry to recognize that this very particular used to be very highly, um, you know, a skill set that was very highly expertise, data science. Now, because of the proliferation of AI, data science, the demand for it has just continued to grow.
Oh, amazing thoughts on that. And coming to recent events, especially touching on the topic of AI, how do you think DeepSeek is going to impact it as well with their contribution? Is it going to be major improvements, minor ones, or slightly the same? Because it seems like the game just changed very quickly.
Yeah, this is everyone's favorite topic this week, right? Is DeepSeek. So I typically like to think about things in broader context. And so, just for example, I remember when the web search was new, right? When the internet was kind of becoming common, accessibility was becoming common. And when I tell my kids things like Google was not the first search engine, they they can't understand that concept, right? Because everyone Google's a verb, right? When you need to find something, you Google it. And I try to explain to them that there were many other purveyors of web search prior to Google, but Google figured out the algorithm, the math, better than anybody else. And so the results in search were coming back much better, right? So now, how do I apply that to your question about DeepSeek? I think a lot of people in the AI space, leveraging a lot of what we see in tech commonly, are trying to figure out how to monetize the technology. And I think what DeepSeek has done is basically make it available through open source to kind of anybody at a very low cost on the development side. Ultimately, if the results that people are getting from using DeepSeek trump what they're using from other tools, I think that will drive DeepSeek's growth more than any other factor. Right? The fact that it's open source, the fact that it costs less, and therefore the savings are being passed on to the user, I think that's all well and good. But people like technology that works. And so as long as DeepSeek keeps yielding results that people are happy with, I think it's going to continue to grow. Then I think the impact of that is you'll see a change to the economic model of a lot of these AI companies and maybe refocus on the quality of the product and not necessarily user experience. It seems like user experience, what was driving a lot of these Gen AI products to market first, was ease of use, right? AI has been around, Obakeng, for like 70 years, but it's only in the past couple of years that people have really wrapped their minds around how easy it is to consume thanks to generative AI, right? Tools like ChatGPT. So user experience is one thing, but you want a good product. That's what I would say.
Ah, thank you for that feedback, especially coming from somebody that's been in this industry for a lengthy term. You know, you've seen the ins and outs, the changes that have come through, uh, even before your kids knew that Google wasn't the only search engine. So it's amazing. The next question that I have for you, what, and it comes back to, we just spoke about DeepSeek, which is one of the many Gen AI projects that are hot on the topic. Now, this question is for you. What interesting projects are you currently working on, and what problem is it solving?
Yeah, so our space is more focused on, I would say, the strategic level. And so we try to align organizations who maybe aren't data literate and try to introduce data into their workflow of their day to day business. So that starts at the strategic level. How is an organizational strategy aligned with the data strategy. Once we're able to flesh that out, then we have the foundation to start developing either data solutions, analytic solutions, or AI solutions. Right. So our space, like we love doing the technical work, obviously, because we want the tech or the toys you're playing with that are fun. But we really try to focus organizations on, rather than trying to build the shiny toy that your neighbor has across the street, how do we implement a foundation so you can build shiny toys left, right, and center that will actually create organizational value in the long term?
Oh, that sounds quite amazing. Which means that you know what, you work with a plethora of clients that always have a smile on their face with that kind of personalization. So it comes back now. You just mentioned you're not trying to build what, your neighbor from across the street is building with the shiny things they have. And it comes down to a question of talent in the next question I have, which is what kind of talent thrives in your organization and which one doesn't?
Yeah, the type of talent which thrives are people who are natural problem solvers, who have an intellectual curiosity, people who feel the empowered to do their own work and master their own domain. Our leadership style, it's very much cultivated from agile. So rather than command and control, the way we view organizational structure is I'm here to provide direction, but the people closest to the work, they have the expertise in how to deliver the best solutions because they're closest to the work. So our design is to push authority to the information because they have the information. And then in turn, we're expecting them to take ownership of their work, to implement, not only implement, provide input, and then implement solutions that they think are best. Our job is then to ask questions to make sure that what they're doing makes sense. But we're really looking for people who are creative, independent thinkers. And obviously, technical acumen is table stakes. Can you do the technical work? If that is a part and parcel of the delivery, then it's really up to the person's ability. Do they have the intellectual curiosity? Are they a problem solver? Do they have the initiative to do their own work with direction? That's kind of the home run hire for us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And for anybody who's interested in joining the organization, you heard it from the leader themselves. The next question that I have is what tech skills would a candidate need to be a part of your organization?
Yeah, I think that's a good question because that's really evolving, right? When I started in my career, the data analytics AI sphere, like I mentioned earlier, it was a lot more contained. And so I was wearing many hats, right? I was the data developer, the data engineer, the data analyst, the data scientist, right? Building the models, and then the one meeting with stakeholders to present that, the insights and the output of the whole data work. Now I would say it's much more partitioned into specific roles, like we talked about 2 years ago, who knew what a prompt engineer was. So I say that to provide context for the tools have also gotten so much better, right? So as the proliferation of needs of data has increased over time, the tools have also gotten so much better. So do you need to have, extensive coding experience? I think you need to understand logically how to extract your data from a source and what the logic of that data is if there are business rules. Does your syntax for coding have to be the best? I'm not sure about that anymore, right? Even 5 years ago, I would have said, oh, you need to know SQL. If you're going to go into, machine learning or data science, you need to know Python and have expert level, understanding of the code. Now I think you need to have enough understanding of the code to be able to know the syntax, have a familiar level with the syntax, understand the business rules of the data you're working with, and then there's so many advanced tools available now to help you fill in the gaps.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. And the next question that I have for you is, and it comes back to the level of talent, the level of and quality of the candidates that you have seen time and time again from having worked. to having your own organization. From your years in the from your years of service in the data industry, what preferences have you seen in hiring? Specialized training or fresh out the college batch?
Oh, so good question. So I'll give you two answers. I think most hiring managers I've worked with over the years prefer specialized training because there's an assumption that if the person has specialized training, they're more likely to be able to plug and play. I'm actually of the opposite mind. Um, I would, so I'm of the belief that if you find the right person, and again, they have a baseline level of technical acumen, I can teach them about the product or I can teach them the technical skills that are required to do the work, right? What I think is harder is finding someone with specialized training and they might have all the right technical skills on their CV, but they aren't actually motivated to work, right? They're not good fit for the team culture. That's harder to fix. So I'm of the mind that I would rather find the right person, right? Are they a problem solver? Are they intellectually curious? Are they fun to work with? Do they fit into a team concept? Do they respect other people? Do they demonstrate humility, et cetera, et cetera? And then do they have a baseline level of technical skills that we can build upon? That's just me, though.
Ah, thank you. And most of what you just mentioned there comes back to them having what, especially technical managers and founders cry about when it comes to people with high technical skills, which is soft skills, is what they can be missing at some durations. And the next question comes back to your favorite company, which is yours truly, 3Ks or Z. What is your best year so far, and why do you consider it the best?
Yeah, for Zeed, I would say it's right now because it's still happening and evolving, right? I try to live my life like, every day is going to be the best day of my life. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm excited about the day and the opportunities ahead, right? Like if you really, look backward, like the past is just a memory in your mind. And so the way you impact the future is by the present. And so what happens today is everything. So this is the best year we've ever had.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, and may it continue to be so over the next few months as well. And the next question I
Thank you.
have for you comes back to leadership, especially with all the layoffs, sometimes some leaders behave like dictators, micromanaging, because there's been recent trends where people are complaining that micromanagement is just at a sky high. And I saw from a recent interview you had and the tips and tricks that you share for the data industry that you have a unique leadership style. How do you lead all your amazing talent in your companies?
Yeah, so typically how we think about bringing people in, we talked a little bit about that, right? Finding the right people. And then we normally try to position people to establish some quick wins early on. So that helps them establish credibility with the team, with the client, and also builds their own confidence that they can do the work that they're being asked to do. What I often tell people is up front, you're the expert, and even if I've been here and they're new, often they look at me like I'm crazy. I say, no, no, it sounds crazy now because it's my company, but you will develop this expertise over time where I will come to rely on you. Again, I will provide high level direction. I found over my career that being an autocrat is a very difficult way to thrive in an organization because ultimately one leader at the top is compelling everyone underneath him or her to think and behave like they do. And I'm of the mind that if I wanted everybody to think and behave like me, I would just do the work myself. What's the point in bringing talented people into the organization if you're not going to allow them to be who they are and allow them to flourish, right? I think that's what most people
Exactly.
want in their career, right? And so my job as a leader too is enable that.
Thank you. And once again, it's another question on leadership. What influenced your leadership style? Was it your work experience that you had or your upbringing?
I would say both. You know, the upbringing, like at the center of my life is my faith and then my family. And so I've always lived like sort of a work, my purpose in life is to serve. I guess I'll start there, right? And then I think that, cultivates traits like humility and integrity, right? Because I'm not in it, whatever my work and professional endeavors are, I'm not in it to promote myself, right? I want to benefit obviously too, but I need the whole team to benefit. So if we're all working together and we're all benefiting, that's a good outcome. And professionally, I would say I've learned from both the best leaders and the worst leaders I've worked with. The best leaders have been an inspiration, right? In terms of habits I want to cultivate and develop for myself when I'm leading people. And the worst leaders often provide the best lessons, right? The experience working with them or for them in terms of things I would never want to do when I'm a leader, and a reminder to myself of I wasn't happy when I was in that situation, so why would I, cast that forward and put someone else in that situation? So yeah, I think upbringing for sure, like that's the foundation of who we most of us are. But work experience, absolutely, right? Because you meet different people in different walks of life and different industries, and everybody brings their own experience. I think the key is just being open minded enough to learn and understand that when we're intersecting with different people, there's a reason that's happening. And so rather than fighting that and trying to create conflict for ourselves, taking a step back and understanding why we're interacting with certain people, absorbing the lessons we can, and then moving on in life.
Yeah. Well, that was very profound. And I feel like I also learned a few tips and tricks from what you just shared there. Thank you. And as a founder, I want to ask you a question on literature. What is your favorite book that you have read? And what key points can you share with us that are helping you at this current stage in your company and in your life?
So that's a good question. I was asked this recently also, and I think the my favorite book I've ever read is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Um, why I think it continues to be my favorite is it is not a manual, but I think it's a very good. It provides insight into how to think about an approach to life, right? In one way, it's philosophical. In a different way, there's a practical application of what you read in that book. And the fact that it's fiction, right? Fiction always allows for an elasticity in storytelling that nonfiction always doesn't allow. But I would recommend that book to everybody. At least one time in your life, everyone should read that book.
I read that book when I was in varsity, and it was so amazing that I only realized it was fiction when I got to the end of the book. Because as you said, the lessons that it has to share there, it just warps you into a whole different world, and you come out with valuable lessons that you can implement. And the last question I have for you is a trick question. Do you prefer Spider-Man or the Joker?
Ooh, eee. So normally I'm on the side of good, but I think I would prefer the Joker.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I
amazing.
think I
That's
prefer the
amazing.
Joker.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And there you have it, B campers. The data and AI secret whisperer himself, Mr. Shah. If you are ever in need of data and AI services for that $1 million treatment, please be sure to reach out to 3Case or Zeed so that they can treat you with the delicacy your organization deserves. Mr. Shaw, thank you from the Bcamp team for sharing your time with us today, and may you have an awesome day ahead.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Cheers.